Salvete omnes. This is Gaius Caesaris Commentarii de Bello Gallico Liber Primus, Chapter 9. In the last selection, the Helvetians wanted to get permission from Caesar to pass through the Roman province, over which Caesar is governor. And Caesar said, I'll think about it. Why don't you guys give me a day or two to decide? Come back and I'll give you my answer. In the meantime, he used the soldiers that he had with him to build a wall, or not a continuous wall, but a strategic wall in places 19 miles in length along the shallows of the Rhone River, so that if the Helvetians tried to force a way across, the Romans would be there to stop them. So when the Helvetians return, Caesar says, yeah, I can't give you permission to go through the Roman province. Sorry about that. The Helvetians try anyway. And the Romans are successful in prohibiting the Helvetians from crossing. So Caesar writes in chapter 9, Relinquebatur una persequanos via, qua sequanis invitis propter angustias ire non poterant. So if you remember, it was chapter 6, there were two routes open to the Helvetians as they migrated westward. And they tried the one route, which was faster and easier, through the Roman province, and of course, that's not working. So relinquebatur was being left behind. Relinquo, relinquere, reliqui, relictus. Third person singular, imperfect, passive, indicative. So we're waiting for a nominative subject. So something was being left behind. Una, from unus meaning one. This could be, this is nominative singular feminine. Per, meaning through, takes the accusative, motion towards. So through the Sequani, the tribe of people called the Sequani. And via, there is our nominative singular subject in the feminine. Via, I, feminine, meaning road or way. So one way or path or road was being left. We could just say was left through the Sequani. The one road through the Sequani was left because Caesar has just cut off their other way. Qua sequanis invitis. So qua means where, by which way, macron over the a, so it's ablative. By which way, where. Sequanis invitis. The Sequanis, that's the tribe. Invitis. We saw this in the previous selection with se invito, with Caesar being unwilling without Caesar's permission. It's an ablative absolute. Here we have the same thing, only it's sequanis invitis. With the Sequani invito unwilling. With the Sequani, without the Sequani's permission, you could even translate it conditionally if the Sequani were unwilling. Sequanis invitis. So once again, that is an ablative absolute. We've got this noun, Sequanis, in the ablative, agreeing with this adjective in the ablative. So with the noun being the adjective. There's no participle being in classical Latin. So with the Sequani being unwilling, if the Sequani were unwilling, against the Sequani's permission, without the Sequani's permission, propter is a preposition taking the accusative, meaning on account of or because of. Angustias, because of the narrowness, the narrow pathway, the defile. The via, the way through the Sequani territory that goes to the Jura mountain range, it's narrow. It's narrow and treacherous. On account of the narrow ways, the narrow paths, the narrowness, the narrow defile. Ire, iwi, itus, meaning to go. Non poterant. Possum, posse, potui, poterant. This is the imperfect. It's pot, meaning able, and then errant. And errant is the imperfect of sum. So they were not able, and possum screams out for a complementary infinitive, ire. They were not able to go, qua, through this way, with the Sequani unwilling, without the Sequani's permission, on account of the narrowness, on account of how narrow it was. So one path through the Sequani, the one path through the Sequani was left, through which way they were not able to go if the Sequani were unwilling on account of the narrowness, on account of how narrow it was. His cum sua sponte persuadere non possent, legatos ad dumnorigem haeduum mittunt, ut eo deprecatore a sequanis impetrarent. So his cum, though this cum is immediately followed by an ablative, this is cum meaning when, since, although. So this is conjunction cum. His could either be dative or ablative. It's probably going to be, actually, could be either one. It doesn't have a noun that goes. If it had a noun that went with it and maybe a participle, that would pretty much be a strong vote for the ablative. But here it could definitely be a dative, especially since I think I did read persuadere. Cum, when, since, although. I'm going to go ahead and cut to the chase and go ahead and say since. So this will be a causal cum. Sua sponte. Once again, suus a reflexive. Circle the su part and draw an arrow to the subject, which is going to be whoop, they, meaning the Helvetians. So it's their own sponte, their own accord, of their own free will, of their own accord, by means of their own free will. Since, by means of their own free will, on their own accord, by their lonesome, by their own powers, persuadere, the present active infinitive of persuadeo, persuadere, persuasi, persuasus, or persuadi, persuasus, apologies, takes the dative. Whom you persuade is in the dative. So to persuade his, that's a good explanation for his being dative. These, meaning the sequani. Cum, since, non possent, and then causal cum takes the subjunctive, imperfect subjunctive, if we are in secondary sequence. So since they were non possent, not able to complementary infinitive, persuadere, to persuade his, these guys, his referring to the sequani, you could just say them, sua sponte, of their own accord, meaning on their own. By their own powers, sua sponte, the Helvetians. Since they, the Helvetians, were not able to persuade them, the sequani, of their own accord, they legatos ad dumnorigem haeduum mittunt. So legatos e masculine, accusative plural masculine direct object of the verb mittunt. Ad takes the accusative motion towards dumnorigem, the accusative of dumnorix, dumnorigis masculine. That's dumnorix, the Iduin. You can either say Haiduin or Iduin. Keep the H or lose the H. We met him back in chapter 3. He is one of the co-conspirators of Orgetorix. There was Casticus, the son of Cadamantiloidus, who is a Sequani, and then Dumnorix the Iduin, the brother of Diviciacus. And Diviciacus is the chieftain of the state, and the Idui are allies of the Romans. So Dumnorix is sort of cast as the younger brother who is not in power, who would like to get rid of his older brother who is in power so that he can be in power. Now, why they did not contact Casticus, who was a Sequani, to get permission from the Sequani to go through this territory, because if we remember, the Sequani were one of the people that the Helvetians confirmed peace and friendship. Casticus, one of the Sequani, he's one of the co-conspirators, this evil sort of Gallic triumvirate. Why they did not ask him for help, I don't know. But they mittunt, they send. We're going to go ahead and translate this. It's a historical present. So it's the present tense, but it really means the past tense. And we can tell it definitely means the past tense because of the imperfect subjunctive. If this were a true present tense, we wouldn't have the imperfect subjunctive here. We would be in primary sequence, and we would be followed by either the present or the perfect subjunctive. Since we are in secondary sequence, so this is standing in for a perfect tense, even though it is present, we have the imperfect subjunctive. Since they were not able to persuade them of their own accord, The Helvetians send legatos, ambassadors, to Dumnorix, the Aeduan. And this is why they do so. Ut, so that. Ut, for the purpose of, purpose clause. Eo deprecatore. Eo, is id in the ablative, refers to Dumnorix. Deprecatore, a deprecator is like a mediator, somebody speaking on someone else's behalf. And it's in the ablative. So we have eo deprecatore. This is an ablative absolute. So we have this pronoun, eo. It is taking the place of the noun dumnorigem. So this is dumnorige, so the ablative of Dumnorix. With him, Dumnorix, as intercessor, as a mediator. So deprecatore, this is the noun. Noun or pronoun with noun. It's like saying Caesare consule, with Caesar being consul. With him, Dumnorix being an intercessor, mediator. So that with him acting as mediator, with him being a intercessor, a sequanis impetrarent. This verb impetrare, takes a or ab plus the ablative to show get permission from, ablative of separation, from this ablative, so that they, the Helvetians, might get permission from the sequani, with him, Dumnorix, acting as an intercessor. And this is a purpose clause. Ut plus the subjunctive. Imperfect subjunctive because we are in secondary sequence, despite the fact that the main verb looks present. It's actually a historical present, setting in for a perfect tense. Altogether, since they were not able to persuade them of their own accord, the Helvetians send ambassadors to Dumnorix, the Aeduan, so that they might get permission from the sequani, with him as an intercessor. A go-between. Dumnorix gratia et largitione apud sequanos plurimum poterat, et Helvetis erat amicus, quod ex ea civitate orgetorigis filiam in matrimonium duxerat, et cupiditate regni adductus, nobis rebus studebat, et quam plurimas civitates suo beneficio habere ob strictas volebat. Another great sentence. So Dumnorix, this guy, nominative, he's the subject. He's going to be doing our verbs. Gratia et largitione. Gratia I feminine in the ablative of means, by means of, or because of, grace, elegance. Et largitione. You can also say thanks. Largitione, largesse, generosity. Dumnorix, because of his, or by means of his grace and his generosity, you could say charm and his generosity, his largesse. So, he liked to give gifts, rather charming individual. Apud sequanos plurimum poterat. Apud takes the accusative. Apud sequanos, like we've had apud Helvetios before among the Helvetians. This is apud sequanos among the sequani. Plurimum poterat. He was very powerful, very able. He was very able, very powerful. He was very influential, you could say. Dumnorix was very influential among the sequani because of his elegance and his largesse, his generosity. Et, and, Helvetis erat amicus. And he was Helvetis. This is a dative, and it's dative with this adjective amicus. Now, I know it looks like the noun amicus, a masculine friend, but if he was a friend of the Helvetians, then we would have the genitive Helvetiorum. As is, this is the dative, so we know this is the adjective amicus aum. They, for all intents and purposes, are the same word. It's just one's dressed up like an adjective and one's dressed up from a noun. The noun comes from the adjective amicus. This is the adjective, friendly, because he was friendly, dative to the Helvetians. Helvetis, dative with adjective. And he was friendly to the Helvetians. Well, why would that be? Quod, causal quod, because ex ea civitate, ex plus the ablative of separation, from that state, is ea id, this or that, agreeing with civitas, civitatis feminine, the ablative singular feminine, because from that state, orgetorigis, he's back from the dead. Well, not really, it's his daughter. The filiam Orgetorix, the accusative daughter of Orgetorix, in matrimonium, in plus the accusative, in matrimony, into matrimony, in marriage, duxerat. And this is the usual Latin way of saying that a man married a woman. So he led her into matrimonium. He led her into marriage to make a mom out of her. And this was why Dumnorix was friendly to the Helvetians, because he had married the daughter of Orgetorix, who had come from that state, meaning the Helvetian state. Remember, Orgetorix was a Helvetian. Once again, I don't know why we're not going to Casticus, but maybe something happened to Casticus. Seems to be another flimsy part of this conspiracy theory, Caesar. Anyway, et cupiditate regni adductus. Very familiar phrase. I think we've seen inductus before instead of adductus, but he was adductus, influenced, led to, having been influenced by a cupiditate regni, by means of an ablative of means, by a desire, cupiditas, cupiditatis, and it takes an objective genitive, regni, by a desire of kingship, by a desire for kingship. So we're still on Dumnorix. He was very influential among the Sequani because of his elegance, his grace, his charm, and his generosity. And he was friendly to the Helvetians because he had married the daughter of Orgetorix from that state. And having been influenced by a lust, a desire for kingship, for a crown, for a throne, he studebat novis rebus. Studeo, studere, we get study, because when you're studying something, you are enthusiastic and zealous for it, as everyone knows. So studeo means to be zealous, to be enthusiastic for something. You really want to go after it, and it takes the dative. So novis rebus studebat. He was zealous for, enthusiastic for a dative, novis rebus. Now it's in the plural. Novi res, new things, new stuff. This is the Latin idiom which means a revolution, new stuff. For a culture, i.e. the Romans, who really liked to keep everything the way that it was. They were a highly conservative people. Whatever the ancestors did in the generations before us was the right and proper thing to do, and we should keep to those traditions. They're ultimate traditionalists. The idea of new stuff, something that was new that they were going to do, was terrifying. Revolution, oh gosh, that's horrible. Why would you ever want to do something new when you could keep doing the same thing over and over again? That's worked so well for us. So studebat, he, Dumnorix, was enthusiastic for new stuff, for revolution, for turnover. You know, the status quo just ain't working out. I don't like it. My brother's in power, Diviciacus. I, Dumnorix, I would like some new stuff, some revolution where I'm in power. So influenced by a lust for a throne, he was enthusiastic for a revolution. I know it's plural in Latin, but in English we make the singular revolution. Et, and, quam plurimas civitates, quam plus the superlative equals the super superlative, as blank as possible, and the most number of states possible. The most number of states possible. Suos a circle the su part and draw an arrow to the subject. Whoop, that's Dumnorix. So it's his own agrees with beneficio, his own kindness. You can see bene, the adverb form of bonus, meaning good, well, and then facio, to make well. It means a kindness or a favor. And by his own favor, or by his own kindness, he's doing favors for people. To present active infinitive, habeo, habere, habui, habitus, to have, obstrictas, to hold them, these civitates, accusative plural feminine, obstrictas, strict, strangled, held, obstrictas, like a boa constrictor. Boa constrictors, they squeeze. They hold something really tightly and they squeeze it. Obstrictas, strangled, held together, bound together, held fast. And then volebat, the verb. So studebat, he was enthusiastic for this stuff, and he volebat, he was wishing to habere, to have, quam plurimas civitates, here's our accusative direct object of habere, as many states as possible, abstrictas, bound up, held fast, bound to him, suo beneficio, by his own favors, by his own kindness. So the reason why he did favors for people, he did kind things for people, was so that they would have to owe him. He could hold them as debtors in his debt. So, okay, I'll do this for you, but you owe me. And this is why he's going to do this for the Helvetians. He's friendly to them because he married a child of Helvetia, a daughter of Helvetia, and he sees this as a stepping stone to getting power. He's going to help out these Helvetians, and the entire state will be beholden to him. He's looking for revolution. He's looking for a throne. So Dumnorix was very influential among the Sequani because of his charm and his generosity, and he was friendly to the Helvetians because he had married the daughter of Orgetorix from that state, and, having been influenced by a lust for a crown, he was enthusiastic for a revolution and wished to have as many states as possible held fast to his own kindness. In debt to his own kindness. How about that? As many states as possible in debt to his own kindness. Itaque rem suscipit, et a sequanis impetrat, ut per fine suos Helvetios ire patiantur, obsidesque uti intercesse dent perficit. So we have itaque, it's ita and que, not just so, ita, but and so. And so, therefore, in conclusion, rem suscipit, he sub capio, he under capio takes. He undertakes the matter. Dumnorix, he undertakes the affair, undertakes the matter. He takes up the task. All right, I'll do it. So he takes up the task. Et a sequanis impetrat, and he obtains permission from the Sequani, which is what the Helvetians wanted in the first place, with him as an intercessor. Ut, and this is what he obtains for them. He obtains from the Sequani so this is an indirect command. This is what he obtains for them. This is the noun clause that he gets for them. He obtains permission from the Sequani so that, indirect command, for the purpose of, so that, per fine suos Helvetios ire patiantur, per accusative, through whose territory? Circle, draw an arrow to the patiantur. So this is, the subject is going to be the Sequani. So this is the Sequani fines. Suos agrees with fines. Through the Sequani territory, Helvetios ire patiantur. So it's patior, pati, passus sum, to suffer, allow, permit. And it's deponent, so third person plural, present deponent, and it's subjunctive. So we have an ut, indirect command, right? We do have a primary sequence. It is actually a tried and true primary sequence: present tense, present tense, present tense, and present tense. So these are all present tense primary sequence. So he obtains permission from the Sequani so that they, the Sequani, may allow, suffer, endure the subject accusative Helvetios to objective infinitive ire, to go, per fines suos, through the Sequani territory. Obsidesque, and obsides, we have obsides, obsides, masculine, mean hostage. So we will see this a lot in the commentaries. Tribes are constantly trading hostages amongst each other, and Caesar is constantly demanding hostages of tribes. This is for good behavior. So you go into a place and you say, I want X number of children and close family members, people I can keep close to me, so that if you in any way turn against me, do something that displeases me, It's their lives on the line. Something bad could happen to your kids, something bad could happen to your family, and you don't want anything bad to happen to your family. So if my reading of the commentaries is correct, it's really only in one place where we actually talk about what happens to these people. We talk constantly about how Caesar demanded hostages from this new tribe that he comes across. We do it throughout all the books of the commentaries of De Bello Gallico. But what actually happens to them after he takes them? He apparently keeps them in one place. He sends them off to an oppidum, and then there they stay. Because at one point he mentions that he has to double the defenses at this certain oppidum, this certain town, because that's where he's kept all the baggage of the army, all the extra grain rations, and also all the hostages. And we don't want those hostages getting away, because if those obsides get away, then that no longer ensures the good behavior on part of these tribes that Caesar's invading and terrorizing. So, and hostages, either the nominative or accusative, it's going to be the, yes, it's going to be the accusative, direct object. Uti, so that, this is the older form of ut. Inter se, not just inter se, but inter se, the emphatic se. It's just the accusative with the preposition inter, between each other. We've seen inter se before. Between themselves, among each other, back and forth. Dent, this is the third plural, present active subjunctive of do, dare, dedi, datus, present subjunctive, dent, they may give. So that they may give hostages between each other, perficit. So we have, the subject is once again Dumnorix. And so Dumnorix undertakes the task, he takes up the task, he gets permission from the Sequani so that they, the Sequani, will allow the Helvetians to go through their Sequani territory, and he perficit, he perficio, perficere, perfeci, perfectus, compounds of facio. Facio and facio's compounds will often kick us into a substantive result clause. And he causes, he brings it about, he accomplishes it, he makes it happen so that obsides uti inter se dent, so that they dent give hostages inter se, between each other, that they exchange hostages. And he perficit, he makes it so that they do a hostage exchange. They give hostages amongst each other. Now, the colon is put here because this last part will explain why they decided to give hostages amongst each other. So the Sequani, ne itinere Helvetios prohibeant, Helvetii ut sine maleficio et injuria transeant. So this is why. We have a negative purpose clause, ne, with the subject of prohibeant being the Sequani, and then we have positive purpose clause introduced by ut with the subject being the Helvetii. So the Sequani gave the hostages, Sequani ne itinere Helvetios prohibeant, so that they would not keep the Helvetians on their from their route. They would not prohibeant, keep the accusative direct object Helvetians from their route. Notice the lack of preposition. They would not prohibit them from their route. They would not keep them from marching. So ne, lest the Helvetians, lest they keep the Sequani, lest they keep the Helvetians from marching, or you could say the Sequani, so that they would not keep the Helvetians from marching, and the Helvetians ut sine maleficio et injuria transeant, so that they transeant, they may transeo, cross, sine maleficio et injuria. Sine takes the ablative, without wrongdoing or injury, harm. So this is why they gave hostages to each other. The Sequani gave hostages so that the Sequani received hostages so that they would, or they gave them, received them. They did the hostage exchange so that they would not keep the Helvetians from their march. The Helvetians participated in the hostage exchange so that they may make their crossing without doing any wrongdoing or harm. So that they're just going to pass through. They're not going to set anything on fire. They're not going to knock anything down. They're not going to make a big mess. They're not going to track mud through anyone's house. They're just going to walk through. We just want to go through this territory. Let us through, and it'll be fine. No one's kids, families, loved ones have to die today.